Let's talk about family therapy conflict resolution. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principles self-government. And in this video, we're talking about conflict resolution. In this video, we're going to be talking about what's really happening in that family conflict so that we can get to a place of resolution. We're going to talk about creating some shared skills so that the family can take steps toward fixing those conflicts for good. And at the end of this video, I have a free gift for you that will help your family solve conflicts in the moment. Good conflict resolution starts with getting the family on the same page. So often people seek out professional help to solve their problems, and that's okay. But if we can't get on the same page, even in a professional setting, then the family is not going to be able to solve their problems. So good counseling helps a family determine what they're working toward as an end goal so that they can actually see a way past those problems that seem to be getting in the way of the family bonding. Why does family conflict occur? Well, there are multiple reasons. I actually have an entire video on family conflict scenarios, so be sure to check that out if you want to see why maybe some of your family conflict has happened. But just to maybe sum up a few of those ideas, sometimes we are judgmental of other people. Sometimes we cross over boundary lines that we shouldn't. Sometimes we take things too personally. Sometimes we like to blame and be a victim instead of taking responsibility for ourselves and our own behaviors. And really, the solution to all these problems and many more is to be completely honest with yourself, to give yourself a dose of humility and recognize what it is about your behavior and your thought processes that might be getting in the way of your own good communication and calmness. Really, calmness is vital for self-government. If you can't find a baseline of calmness, you will continue to have problems no matter how much you talk, no matter how many emotions you share with each other. Now, it is important for people who are trying to solve a family conflict to come to a place of understanding, which means that sometimes we need to talk about the way that we're feeling or some of the emotions that we might be experiencing, but we shouldn't be emotionally dumping on each other. We should first learn about calmness, how to establish that baseline of calmness in our communication before we start discussing how we felt in a certain scenario. If you aren't sure you can trust yourself to communicate calmly about disagreements or conflicts that you have had, then you might need to take some steps to work on your calmness first before going into a conversation about a conflict. When I talk to families about their self-government behaviors and relationships, their mother and father and child relationships, and solving problems together as a family, we always get to a conversation about the brain. When we talk about the brain, we talk about how we can think when we're in our front brain or our prefrontal cortex. When we're in front brain, we have 100% capacity to think. When we're in midbrain, we have maybe 40% capacity to think. When we're in back brain, we've got maybe 10% ability to think and to solve our problems. If we allow ourselves to get too emotional, too worried, too anxious, too angry, or if we're worried and we start walking on eggshells around other people, we might be going to mid or back brain, and then we can't solve the problems, especially those problems of unifying the relationships again. Nobody feels okay if the family is not united. Something is always missing. Some piece seems to be out of whack, even if we're not with family members at the time. Our families are intricately connected with our sense of well-being and our very identities. We cannot disconnect ourselves from family, no matter how hard we try. Even if we say we don't care about them, even if we don't talk to them, they're always there. They're always part of us, and if the relationships aren't good, it's a weight that we carry. One of the most important things to recognize when you're solving family conflict is that each person needs to take responsibility for themselves and their own misbehaviors instead of trying to find out how somebody else misbehaved and bringing it to somebody else's attention. It is very common from the time we are little children to figure out whose fault it is because there is a problem that has occurred within the family. Well, when it comes to family conflict, the only way to really solve it isn't to find out whose fault it is, but to find out what part of the fault you are supposed to take responsibility for. That's right, every single person has some fault. Maybe somebody else crossed over a boundary line and did something to me that they should not have done. But if I retaliated and I didn't disagree appropriately with them, then I have my own fault that I have to find and fix. I've got to solve the problem of communicating in a way that's not going to be productive when somebody else crosses over a boundary line. I might have brought a tone element into the family conversation that actually made it worse, not better. I have to take responsibility for that. Everyone has to face which piece of the scenario was theirs. And if they truly feel like there was none that was their piece of the scenario, then they should be supportive of everybody else being honest and bringing things into the light. One of the things that we do here at Teaching Self-Government to help bring things into the light and to help people see where they can fix their problems is by teaching them self-government skills so that they can compare their actions to the steps of the skills. For instance, there is a skill called disagreeing appropriately. When you disagree appropriately, you look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say that you understand the other person's point of view, share your point of view, listen to what they have to say okay, and then drop the subject. Let's say somebody had a differing opinion from me, and I started telling them they were wrong, they didn't understand me, I started complaining, or maybe even crying or yelling. All of those things are not disagreeing appropriately. I've got to own that. I did that. I didn't use my skill. But if I know the skill, it's going to help me find the piece that I needed. Maybe I didn't have a calm face at the very beginning, and that led to the whole issue. My eye rolling maybe led to somebody else taking offense or feeling misunderstood, and now boom, we've got a conflict. Family conflicts are power struggles, and they can be managed if you've got the skills so that you can recognize what pieces you need to switch as a group or individually. Taking time to train your whole family on skills that they need for success can be very beneficial to the group. It can give you a shared dialogue, vocabulary that you can use to describe what's going on so that people can see you're just deliberately communicating, you're not taking things personally. Speaking of not taking things personally and the skills that you need for success, I have a free gift for you, remember? I have a PDF all about family conflict resolution strategies, and I would like to give that to you for free. Go to the URL teachselfgov.com/strategy and get that free PDF today.